like to thank you all for sticking around as well, Belle. Thank you very much. And I want to say, I grew up in a small town. It's good to see the stars again. I grew up in a small town and eventually moved away because I had a fastball and I played junior college baseball and blah, blah, blah. And I ended up working on a riverboat, a really tiny riverboat for a while. And I was getting drunk one night with the riverboat captain from a much bigger boat, and he was talking about, I don't understand how these bands do everything every night. They want to like rouse up the crowd at the end of the night. They're out tipping over Volkswagens at the end of the night. Well, I ended up becoming a rock promoter and did late night radio, and so some of my stuff is informed by that stuff. And please don't tip over any cars. I also used to read a lot of this stuff in bars and places where people weren't listening at the beginning of it. So I would start it with something by a guy who he went to Webster University in St. Louis, and he ended up becoming somewhat of I would say a noise composer, but a saxophonist who's known for playing sort of dichotomous and noisy music. His name is John Zorn. It starts with a quote by him. This one's called Knees Knock. And when I was in the bar, I would say, shut the fuck up! We're trying to make some music down here, jive-ass motherfuckers! John Zorn, August 1997, to Czech Republic President Václav Havel, U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, Laurie Anderson, and Lou Reed were talking during a Barakova show at the Knitting Factory show. Their encroachment, sometimes welcome, sometimes haunting, can send a man, a grown man, to the john, the pulpit, the confessional, the madhouse. The same goes for all beings. Lasso, apsu, yelp, wolves bay, a car explodes, little kitty cats mew. Daddy's got a squeeze box, mommy cries herself to sleep. Harry was crazed by cuckoos in the night. The black blondes popple up and blabber in the venues, while the pizzicato and the strummers die in the idiocy of the Listerine strips and the clogged up ears. Bob saves up for a parabolic microphone with the tips he makes washing sedan windshields with a squeegee. Frank apes ducks from a blind, though he is deaf. Boom, boom, chug, chug, munch, munch. No silence. Plunging needles, perhaps, or popping pills to bring peace, but no silence. The buzz continues. Din. And nobody knows sound like me. Nobody knows sound. I hate sound and wear earplugs to work, to sleep, to everything, so I don't have to wear that sound, man, said the perturbed technician. Postal workers hum and drone, delivering checks to pay for the buffering, and the AC units drown out the crimes of the night. Love and happiness conquer the banal screams of youth, and during the winter months, even Bach and Beethoven are muffled in the roar of the heaters, blowing their suffocating breath to keep the anemic from teeth chatters and shivers. A well-placed bug captures the ensuing moans, but can never take from her the past dalliances of the night and the voices for which she yearns. He'll never say, I love you. He doesn't speak English. He thinks she just wants to bang bang. Ashamed of her lisp, he mutters to himself as he backs away each morning when the sickness is at its most audible. The coffee maker percolates to the ticking of the clock. The wrinkle of the sheets recalls the nightmare, and the swift machete to the femoral artery of problems with mama. The sawtooth mountains invite Morricone to the piazza, and the nuns beg their pupils to cease before the whack, whack, whack of the rulers on bones. The couple upstairs are fucking real good now, and they aren't afraid to share. Jimmy turns up the Wu-Tang. The triggerfish and the tree shrew pump in the night too. And nobody knows sound like me, nobody knows sound. I have to wear earplugs and work to work and sleep, do everything so I don't have to wear that sound, man. said the perturbed technician. On the Jupiter side of town, the giggling and tee-heeing is enough to quell thought. Piss drips silently down the thighs of the plebes. Breezes sing through the lips of the leaves. A broken guitar string heals itself and whispers love into a salamander's backside. The poet likes to think she is piddling her onomatopoeia into the porcelain late at night when the neighbors quit cheering on their children with one strop after another. The muse wants for crisp exactitude. His hip pops with each step. The senator is not convinced by the beating of the hummingbird's wings. Taking a sedative only muffles life's concert, according to the Luddite. Troops stomp off to war in search of the rat-a-tat-tat of freedom and the squishy blood of the brown people, so you don't have to sell your body to the pimp with the booming system for another gallon of glug-glug. The bass player wants more vocals in the monitor. Wolf Eyes signs with Sub Pop. The leaf blower shows more gumption, but no horse sense. Its alarm asks for an answer. I've heard about enough out of you, mister. The release of the safety leaves only a click. The killer stomps down the hall in anger. And nobody knows sound like me. Nobody knows sound. I hate sound and wear earplugs to work, to sleep, to everything, so I don't have to wear that sound, man, said the perturbed technician. There is much fun in the gushing life source, in a blast in the brains with a blunderbuss, in a leaf rake across a certain smirk. The full moon sings its urgency in the minds of the night owls. Later, vendors crunch into each other, and a siren screams its self-importance as the doormen yell, "Last call!" Can you hear yourself think? Where is your inner voice, El Presidente? Can you hear that jingle, jangle, jingle? That hunger pang of a nation set to the bed of you gurgling Satan's jism for shizzle? Because there are rivers, because there are breezes, because there are trees blowing in those breezes. Nobody knows sound like you do, hound like you do now, like bats and sonar. As a billing boots crunch broken iPods like frozen snow and skulls of those that have held the nightmares of these masses. I'll give you what for. Brother, can you hear me? Can you see me near you? Brother, can you feel me? Is that you singing? Eat some pie and shut it. Do you remember the first time you heard Devo while John Cage hunted mushrooms and danced to the twigs snap? Remember? Ilsa was thanking God for farts. They were audible and munching on corn chips. Meanwhile, there was an interminable hiss in the PA, and the featured speaker could not be understood as your stomach grumbled and some chump cracked his knuckles and sucked on mentholyptus when he wasn't hacking up last night's phlegm. Schuler sneezes through a sizable schnoz. Kaufman pops a cough drop. The ball continues bouncing against the walls, the faucet drips, and a dwarf in wooden shoes does French press-fueled wind sprints on the wooden floors of your fragile mind. Time to jet to Zendo, Fifi. Their encroachment, sometimes welcome, sometimes haunting, can send a grown man to the John, the pulpit, the confessional, the madhouse. The same goes for all beings. Lasu lapsu yelp, wolves bay, a car explodes, little kitty cats mew. Daddy's got a squeeze box. Monty cries herself to sleep. Bob saves up for a parabolic microphone with the crumpled cash and makes squeezing sedan windows. Squeezing sedan windows is what I meant to say. Frank wears earplugs though he is deaf. The buzz continues. The checks come in the mail to pay for the buffering, and the AC units drown out crimes of the night. Love and happiness conquer the banal screams of youths, and during the winter months, even Bach and Beethoven are muffled in the roar of the heaters, blowing their suffocating breath to keep out the anemic heat, chatters and shivers. A well-placed bug captured the ensuing moans, but can never take from her the the dalliances of the night, and the voices for which she yearns. He'll never say, I love you. Ashamed of her lisp, he mutters to himself as he backs away each morning when the sickness is at its most audible. The coffee maker percolates to the ticking of the clock. The sawtooth mountains invite Morricone to the piazza, and the nuns beg their pupils to cease. On the chipper side of town, the giggling and tee-heeing is enough to quell thought. Piss drips silently down the thighs of the plebes. Breezes sing through the lips of the leaves. A broken guitar string heals itself and whispers love to a salamander's backside. The muse wants for crisp exactitude. The listener is not convinced by the beating of the hummingbird's wings. Tired is crazed by cuckoos in the night. Taking the sedative only parlays a concert according to the lunatic. Troops stop off to war in search of the boom boom and the swooshy blood of the brown people, so you don't have to sell your iPod. I've heard about enough out of you, mister. The release of the safety hardly makes a noise. The killer stomps down the hall in anger. Knees knock. The full moon sings. Full moon sings. Singular. Moon sings. As Peter turns off the radio and locks the gate. That was number one. Number two.